Hey guys, it's Hayner in Charge, present Zoom the TBT, and we're with Alex Neumann, the GM of Playing for Jimmy V. Alex Neumann, how you doing this evening?
Great, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, I appreciate you jumping on, Alex. So before we get really into the team and the roster and all that, I want to learn a little bit about you and how you got involved with TV. Another young GM. We have a lot of those out here. And
Children.
I know. You get me and Hayner's age, it gets rough. But I think this is going to be your fourth year in some form or fashion being involved with the team. So how did you get involved forming professional TBT teams and just really getting into the tournament?
Yeah, sure. So I was a manager for the Rutgers team when I was in college a few years ago under Eddie Jordan. Built some relationships with the guys on the team. And then my first year out of college was when we did it our first time. So we were in the Jamboree as a Rutgers alumni team. Had a couple Stony Brook guys and a couple other guys on that team. Next year we took the year off, and then last year we came back as Playing for Jimmy V. Kept that Rutgers foundation, but kind of built out the network a little bit more. And then this year, again, a couple Rutgers guys, but now we're really starting to expand and kind of going with it from there.
Yeah, and by the way, you're yourself a Rutgers alum, and Rutgers is well known for its storied basketball history. I went to a game at the Rack when my team Memphis was still the 1 year you're both in the AAC, and it was like a concrete coffin, basically. Like I think it might be one of the worst venues I've ever. I know I'm in trouble for this, but like
that's all right. So
the team's fine, but that's literally the worst venues I've ever seen.
I don't know if you paid attention this year, but we had the best home record in the country this year, 18-1 at the Rack.
That had to pain you too, because like Rutgers doesn't honestly have the best basketball history, but they were really good this year. Like they were like a contender. So how much did that hurt to lose your team the 1 year if they have such a great quality team? Was that like really painful?
It was devastating. Everybody joked about it like a couple weeks before the tournament got canceled. It was like Rutgers is obviously going to go to the tournament. It's not going to happen. And then, of course, it got canceled. That was a devastating couple weeks for me and all Rutgers fans. But hopefully the season starts on time this year. We got an even better team coming back. So we'll see.
Excellent. So you talked a little bit that you transitioned from a Rutgers team to playing for Jimmy V last year. So tell me a little bit about playing for Jimmy V, why you guys selected that foundation, and how you came about playing under that name.
Sure. So Jimmy V was a Rutgers alumni, which a lot of people probably don't know. There's actually a gym at Rutgers that is the Jimmy V court. So we kind of were like, hey, we didn't have enough guys to come back to the Rutgers alumni team. We know that a lot of teams do the charity, the foundation route, and it's very successful. So we said, hey, Jimmy V, Rutgers connection, let's try to run with that. Just kind of reached out to them. They liked the idea, got behind it, and it's kind of, this is year 2 of it. Hoping to do it for a long time coming. But that's really all it is. He was a Rutgers alumni. Obviously, everybody knows the V Foundation and the great work that they do for cancer. We've kind of gone with it from there.
Yeah. I mean, it's always helpful for a team to play for a cause, because it gives you something to unite around, a bigger cause than yourselves. And you're able to recruit a really nice roster, actually. I mean, you got 2 returning guys, Deshaun Freeman and Corey Sanders, both Rutgers alums, front court and back court players. And you've recruited some pretty nice players. Josh Perkins out of Gonzaga plays in the G League. Devin Kennedy, Princeton G League. So you have a really quality, but not a particularly long team. I see sort of a smaller team here. Is this a team that needs a little more size? Like, how is your recruiting going, getting this roster together?
Sure. So Luke Petrosik right now is our biggest guy. He's 6'10", went to Columbia, played in Germany this year. Actually, he was actually 6'10". The website has him at 6'8" for some reason.
I know, that's where I'm taking it from. Is he 6'10" or is he 6'10"?
If you Google him, there's not a single place that has him at 6'8". So I don't even know where that came from. But besides the point, let's say he's 6'8".
It's the metric conversion. They took the German number, and he's 2.17 meters. Like, what the fuck can I do with meters? Meters don't even count in the real world.
Let's say, for argument's sake, he's 6'8". Right now, he's our longest guy. He just had a 50-40-90 year in Germany. He's like a legit sniper, lefty, like really, really good player.
A legit stretch 5. That's always useful in today's day and age.
Yeah, so I mean, we obviously in an ideal world, we want to play them at the 4. We're talking to some 5. We still, if you look at the roster, you can say we clearly need a 5.
Yeah.
We're talking to a bunch of 5s still. Tyler Stone, he's 6'6", 6'7". He's probably our ideal 4-man. He can shoot it a little bit. He's tough inside. He's a real post player. And then Ryan Brown, Tyler Stone played in this last year for Bluff City.
Oh, yeah.
Brown.
I do remember him on Bluff City. Now we're mentioning that. Yeah, I'm a Memphis guy, so that'd be a team I would remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he played for them last year. He's a really good player. Just like he's tough inside. He can score. Ryan Brown, he's got some length. He's played in EuroLeague this year. Played last year as well.
Played Turkey, right?
He played in Turkey. Actually played for Patino in Greece for a couple months as well.
Patino's coming to our neck of the woods in the Northeast. We got Ricky Boy back. Watch your Italian restaurants.
I'm very excited for Patino to come back. Guys, good for the game. But Ryan Brown's he's like our scorer. He's like that's the guy who, if we need a bucket, we're gonna go to Ryan. Those are the biggest guys we have right now. We're obviously in the market for a 5. We're talking to a couple 5s, and we're hoping to get it done soon. But yeah, I mean, at the moment, I'd like to be a little bit bigger for sure.
Wouldn't we all?
Yeah, so he's going on no sleep, so we just got to work with him. Obviously, a lot of G League guys, which I love. That's how I became a fan of the TBT, is watching some of the G League guys, especially the Canton guys, come through and play for the G League. So, I mean, really good stable of talent here. So I want to kind of reflect a little bit on last year and kind of what brings you this year. So obviously kind of a fresh start, 2 guys from last year, and the rest are new. So what did you learn about the team last year? And obviously, why they're not back with us, neither here nor there. But what did you learn about the team last year that this year you knew you had to build it a little bit differently?
Sure. So last year we played Brotherly Love, who ended up winning the region, of course. And that's a team that they've known each other for years. They play together in Philly. They're all friends, and they played together in college. And last year we had a group of guys. We had some Rutgers guys, but for the most part, it was nobody really knew each other. We had a couple days of practice beforehand, and to be perfectly honest, we probably didn't take it as seriously as we needed to. We didn't treat it like a true training camp, and that is one of the big things that we're changing this year. Is like last year we had fun, we had a good time, and like we're gonna have fun this year too. But we kind of want to come back and like we want to win games. We brought in a coach, Dan Sokolovsky, who coached for in Israel this year. He's been in Russia. He's been in China. So he's coached at a high level, which was a big upgrade for us this year. Can I install an actual offense? Obviously, it's not that easy to do over a week of training camp maybe, but we're going to do the best we can. And we brought guys in we brought in higher level guys. So like we didn't have anyone from the G League last year. We have a few G League guys this year. We had no EuroLeaguers last year. We have a couple guys who played in EuroLeague. We have Ryan who played this past year. So just like an all-around talent upgrade. We had a great team last year, and we put a good group of guys together, but it just far and away more talent, more experience, that kind of thing this year.
Well, it's really interesting you mentioned the whole not taking it as seriously maybe as you could have, or maybe not quite being as prepared as like sort of first year as a team together. By the way, that's refreshingly honest. I really respect that answer. You're being very blunt about this, which I really respect. But the challenge of this is like, because you're bringing together a team that shares a goal and shares a cohesion of spirit, but they haven't really had a lot of experience playing together, if I'm correct. So, like, how do you install an offense? You talk about installing offense. Like, what do you guys want to run offensively for sets and defensively for scheme? And how can you make a disparate pieces of parts fit together quickly?
Sure. So I'm going to be honest. X's and O's are not my thing, and that's why we have some coaches, because it's not, like I was in the Rutgers basketball program for 4 years, and it's not my thing. Never has been. We brought in like the guys we had. We were young last year. Everyone was a couple years out of college or right out of college. We had 2 guys who never played professionally before last year. We don't have any of that this year. Like we have guys who have played at high levels and played under real coaches, and they run like EuroLeague offense. We didn't have any of that last year. We had college offenses. We brought in a coach who knows his stuff. Again, I can't even act like I can get in X's and O's because I know nothing about it. So I don't even want to tell you what kind of offense we're gonna run because I have no idea.
Well, let's be clear. I don't either. I just like asking the question.
Sounds like a good one. Let's ask it. All right, we'll talk to you about something that you definitely love. So we're taping here today on Wednesday the 20th, and we released our first edition of the Charge and Hayner Bracketology, and I know you do not agree with the rankings. It is a loaded region in Charleston, West Virginia.
It's a mess. It's a mess. So many good teams.
When I say loaded, we talked about this before we went live. West Virginia, obviously, best in class, far and away. But you go from 2 all the way down to 11. I mean, you can stack these teams up and make a case for every one of these to be the 3 or the 4 versus the 9 or the 10. And it's just an incredibly stacked region. And self-admittedly, I had you guys down a little bit lower. And part of it was a couple of things we talked about is I think your talent level is good as some of the other folks. Some of the other teams are a little more established. So first-year teams, even though you're not a legit first-year team, second-year team, I guess we'll call it, struggle, especially if you guys haven't played before. And that was the number one reason I had you a little bit lower. So why don't you tell me how wrong I am about having you guys behind teams like the Web, the Region, Underground Kings, which I love. So why was I wrong?
Sure. So, yeah, when I saw that, I watched it earlier today, and I was a little bit stunned, to be honest. I think it's crazy to have us at the 7th seed. If you just like, well, I haven't even mentioned Devin Kennedy yet. Like, Devin Kennedy is
quality player.
If Devin Kennedy's not in the NBA in the next 2 years, I'd be shocked, absolutely shocked. And I haven't even mentioned him yet. And then Josh Perkins, we just glossed over. Like, the guy was a huge piece for Gonzaga 2 years ago in the national championship game and just had a great year in the D-League. I think we have we're kind of a first-year team, but like we have like Ryan Brown has played in it, Tyler Stone has played in it, Deshaun Freeman, Corey Sanders, like they've all played in this. So yeah, first-year teams definitely struggle. That's 100% true. Amir Bell too. I haven't even mentioned him. He played last year for Team X with Dockage. I think we're just and I don't want to take shots at other teams. I just think we're way more talented than pretty much every team in the region. West Virginia, that's fine. They're an established team. That's a great roster. Underground Kings, sure, like they have some good pieces.
Those are my Ohio guys. I get a little Ohio credit. I gotta ride with them.
Like I know the Web played last year and they won a game on a late. I think they had like a late backdoor layup there.
Yeah.
Good team. I just don't think anyone has the like we have so much talent on this team, and like a lot of the guys don't know each other. And that's something you got to work out at training camp. But the majority of teams have that thing going, even returning teams. Yeah, I mean, I think we're like at worst the 3, to be honest with you. I just think we're, and I'm clearly biased, but I just think,
man, shoot your shot. Shoot your shot.
We have a lot of talent, and like we might not have like the huge names, but all of these guys are established and play high level, and you can't say the same for a lot of these other teams. Like there's a ton of good players and a ton of good teams in the region, but they don't have the kind of pedigree that the guys on our team have. I think we are one of the better teams in the region.
Yeah, and kind of come to Hanner's defense, which I don't normally do. He does have you guys ranked number 3, so I'll take all the heat. As you know, we did a blended average and throw it through the algorithm machine and come up with the rank. So that's totally on me. And like I said, I mean, just even talking with you this little bit of time, like I said, you can go 2 to 11 and make a case for all these teams. But it seems like you guys got a really good plan in place. So Hayner, why don't you tell us, give them some backup? Why'd you have them all the way up in the number 3 when I missed on it?
Well, it is interesting because I wasn't actually going to out the actual seed lines because I wasn't going to put you under the bus, and because I agree with. In fact, actually, I'm looking at our seed line thing now, and there was only 2 big discrepancies in our entire thing. and you were one of them. And we
Okay.
definitely need to have the other one on, which is the region was the other discrepancy we had, and we basically flipped it. He's as bullish as on the region as I am on you. I mean, I think you guys have a very deep roster. I think you guys have a smaller roster, which I like to watch play. I like smaller teams. I think they get after, especially in a knockout type thing. But I mean, I don't want to sit here and say I'm right or Charge is wrong, because usually Charge is much smarter than me. That's why we blended these things. But I'd rather instead not talk about why who's right or wrong about bracketology. What I'm talking about is like these teams, because it is a loaded region. I want to establish the fact that like after the 1 seed, every other team in the region could basically be placed almost wherever you want. It's a very flat region. Like, what kind of anarchy do you see happening in this region? Because this seems like an upset region. Because if it is even 2 to 11, then it's just going to be like a bloodbath of lower seeds. Like, do you even want a high seed? It might be anarchy.
Well, that's the kind of thing is like, so I saw the region, and when I talked to our coaches, I was like, yeah, I don't like being a 7, but I wouldn't hate this draw, to be honest with you. You're definitely, I mean, it's right on. Like, outside of the top team, it's pretty wide open. Like, I don't know who's going to get in, let alone win any games. So yeah, 100%. Like, if we go in and we get the 7 seed, so be it. I mean, I thought we were underseeded last year too. So I'm going to think we're underseeded no matter what our seed is. But yeah, I mean, 100%. It's definitely a region that could be anarchy at the bottom.
Yeah, no, this is definitely a Royal Rumble situation, and obviously I don't know where TBT is going to be playing, but Charleston was the region I was going to plan on attending live this year on that particular weekend, and it would have been amazing to see. And the region, I love the region because of Milton Doyle, another guy who played sometime in the G League, Kiefer Sykes. So they got some good bucket getters over there too.
Yeah,
but
sure.
yeah, we won't go back and forth on this one any longer. We're going to agree that it's a extremely deep region, and we're gonna say I'm outvoted 2-1. So let's move play for Jimmy V up a couple lines, so I don't get egged or hate mail anymore today. Which actually you didn't. Only a couple people hate mail us today. So let's talk about the COVID situation a little bit, because that has to pose a little bit of a challenge with recruiting this year. Obviously, we don't know TBT's plan on what it's going to look like, single site, multiple site. 64 teams, 32 teams. You hear a lot of rumblings. You hear the professional sports teams talking about putting teams in a bubble. And so to be able to get a full team of players that are willing to go in a bubble for 14, 16 days possibly, have you had some of those conversations with your guys yet? And do you see any challenges with fielding a full team with that type of scenario?
For sure. Yeah. So it's definitely tough. I mean, right off the bat, it's actually affected our recruiting. We were actually talking to a guy who lives in Europe, and he was in the play, and he's not playing now because he probably can't get here.
Right.
So it's affected us from that standpoint. Yeah, the whole like if they move it to one region or cut it in half, it'll obviously be an interesting experience, but it'll definitely be tough it could be tough for some of these guys. I mean, these guys have they have a wife and kids, and they are gone all year in Europe or the G League, and now we're asking them to go away for another 2-3 weeks. It's definitely tough. I know from the guys that we've talked to on our team, they're still all about it. They want to play in this thing. It might be a little bit tougher, and we'll see what happens when we get closer to it. We're still good amount out, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely a tough situation. I mean, it's tough for me. It's tough for our other coaches, and it's tough for all the guys. And our team is kind of not to one region. We're all kind of on the East Coast, but everywhere on the East Coast. So travel will be interesting. We'll see what we can do. But yeah, we're trying to prepare the best we can.
Right.
Yeah, it makes sense too. Because I mean, this is I mean, the word gets thrown around a lot right now. Unprecedented. As a Rutgers basketball fan who had a good team this year, you understand the term unprecedented, I'm sure. But the key thing is like, if this goes to a smaller number, because the thing we did with Bracketology is we actually did go from 64 to 32 more as a thought experiment. So we were wondering if the NBA may not have a season, it may just go straight to the playoffs. You're seeing reduced games all across the board, everywhere in the world right now. So we combined thought you were in the dance pretty easily at 64 as a lower seed, but at 32, if you remember at the very end of the whole story, we guys had you right on the bubble line, right on the cut line at the 30. I think we had you at 35 or so. And just talk directly to the people who are making that selection. If it does get reduced, like what can you bring to the table that means you have to be in this tournament come hell or high water?
Yeah, I mean, kind of just going based off of what I just said. Like, I think we're one of the top seeds in this region. There's definitely some other regions that are absolutely stacked. To be honest, I think we're pretty safely in. I think we have, again, I think we just have the talent. I think we're one of the more talented teams. Obviously playing for a great cause as well, which doesn't hurt.
That can't hurt at all.
It doesn't hurt. And we were in the tournament last year. We obviously didn't win any games, but we were in the tournament last year. So we are a returning team. I just think we have, like, on paper, we're just very talented. We're one of the more talented teams in this. We think we can win some games and make a run. Honestly, if it's 32 teams, it's easier for us because we got to win less games.
One less game to win, one less game to get that money, right?
So I don't know. I think I think the team that we put together, and we're still in the process of adding a couple more guys. But I think once our roster's finished and we get closer to selection time, I think we'll be pretty safely in, just like Rutgers would have been this year.
Yeah.
This 1 year, you would have been correct. This 1 year.
Right.
I love the confidence coming out of playing for Jimmy V, and I really think that's what it takes to win in the tournament.
I'm actually sold. I'm much more sold than when I started this conversation.
There you go.
Oh, I am as well. I can't take back what's on paper, though. It's like once you tweet it, it's out there. No taking it back. So,
Yep.
But I really hope you prove me wrong.
Yeah. Once you tweet something, you can't take it back. Do you not follow national politics, my friend?
Well, you could try to take it back, but it's out there. Anyways, hey, before we wrap up, the one thing we like to do when we talk to folks is talk about kind of your favorite TBT memory. So you've been involved with this, for a couple, 2-3 years now. Probably been watching it for a fan even longer. Obviously, haven't gotten those wins that you're looking for yet. But what's your favorite TBT memory? Whether it's been a fan or you organizing this team, and what do you remember most about TBT?
Sure. So our first year, actually, when we were in the Jamboree, that was the first time they did the Elam ending. So we were in the first game that did that. And I mean, I could say it's a good memory, but it's pretty devastating, but it's still a good memory. We were down, I want to say 18 going into the Elam ending. And we ended up with the ball down 1 and we needed a bucket and the game would have ended. We would have won it. And we called a timeout, drew up a play, and we turned it over and they just had a wide open layup and scored. So it was devastating. It was very cool to be part of like the first game where they did the Elam ending. And that was my first TBT experience. And then last year, I would say our training camp, again, I kind of said we didn't take it too seriously, but we did have a great time.
I think there might be a separate story there, to be honest with you. We're missing something which we probably can't share on a PG-13 podcast.
It was just good. Like, I really didn't know any of the guys last year. Like, the first year I knew a lot of the Rutgers guys because I was at Rutgers with them. Last year I didn't know a lot of the guys past just meeting them like on the phone. So it was cool to like meet some of those guys and just kind of like build out our basketball network a little bit more. And just kind of being at the tournament was awesome. Like being in Syracuse last year was very cool. Watching those other teams, like being able to watch Syracuse and Armored Athlete was really good last year. I'd say those two, but the first Elam ending game was something.
That is pretty cool. I mean, because that really is the brand of the TBT now, and to be able to and I don't know if I watched that game or not. I think I watched one of the 2 games, and it's not ringing a bell. I would have definitely remembered watching that one, but to be part of the All Eyes on You and to have it ultimately launching across the full slate of games, so that is a pretty cool one.
For sure, very cool.
Okay, well, guys, this has been Alex Neumann, the GM of Jimmy V and the alumni of known basketball powerhouse Rutgers. Alex, thanks so much for coming on tonight.
Thanks for having me, guys.